Hello, and welcome to the first video for the online training modules for Odyssey Inclusive coaches. Before you attend a live training session, we ask that you complete all 5 brief modules that provide Odyssey Inclusive coaches with important information about the program before beginning your coaching journey. My name is Dr. Lynn Larson, and I am the program developer and director for Odyssey Inclusive. I'll be guiding you through the 5 modules. I'm always available to answer any questions you have. And each state hosting Odyssey Inclusive also has a program coordinator who will be your main point of contact this season. Thank you for volunteering to coach for Odyssey Inclusive, an exciting new part of Odyssey of the Mind. This will be an amazing and rewarding experience and a journey that you and your team members will never forget. To support you throughout this first season of Odyssey Inclusive, we have what we call a training trifecta. There are 3 important parts of your Odyssey coach training. These self-paced online training materials have been carefully designed to get you started with Odyssey Inclusive. There is a fair amount of material, but it has been broken down into manageable pieces you can complete at your own pace. Each part of the training provides you with information you need to be a successful coach for all aspects of the Odyssey journey. You'll be asked to complete a short quiz after each section. Each video has an accompanying document, so the material is available in auditory and written form. It's recommended that you watch the videos and have the written information available as a backup. The second part of our training trifecta is that this online training will be followed up by live coach training sessions via Zoom run by experienced Odyssey Inclusive leaders. This in-person training will provide you with opportunities to dive deeper into what you learned in these modules. We'll also have a Q&A time to answer any questions you have about Odyssey Inclusive and being a coach. And the third part, a 10-week coaching plan has been created just for Odyssey Inclusive coaches called the Odyssey Inclusive Coach Passport. It provides important information to guide you through preparing your team for their tournament performances. This guide will provide you with activities to complete each week for long-term, style, spontaneous, and other key aspects of Odyssey Inclusive, in addition to awesome coaching tips and strategies. Our goal is to provide you with all the tools necessary to have a successful Odyssey Inclusive season. As this is the only second season for Odyssey Inclusive, we will be asking for your feedback throughout the year so we can continue to make the program better. You may find the amount of information being shared a little overwhelming at first. Take these training pieces one step at a time, letting them build on each other. All the information will make sense to you in time. We know you'll be able to guide your team through this creative journey. For this season of Odyssey Inclusive, an Odyssey Inclusive membership provides the opportunity for 5 Odyssey Inclusive teams to compete at a regional or state tournament. Coaches should contact their state's Odyssey Inclusive program coordinator for more information about memberships and any state and/or regional team fees that may be required. Your state's Odyssey Inclusive program coordinator will be your main point of contact throughout your journey this season. They will be able to answer any questions you have and will provide information about the Odyssey Inclusive tournament. Odyssey Inclusive is a new opportunity for those who are neurodiverse and those with disabilities to participate in Odyssey of the Mind. But what is Odyssey of the Mind? The program is an international creative problem-solving competition for students in kindergarten through college that has been in existence since 1978. The premise of the program is that creativity and teamwork are skills that can be taught and further developed with practice. The program culminates each year with qualifying teams giving a performance and solving a problem on the spot at a regional tournament. Teams who advance also compete at the state tournament, with the season concluding with 800 plus teams from around the world competing at the World Finals. There is a link to a video in the written version of these materials, which provides a brief overview of the program and more about the history of the program as well. I have 20 years of experience in Odyssey of the Mind and spent my entire career in the field of special education as a classroom teacher and a university professor. My husband, Dr. Paul Larson, and I served as our twins coaches in Odyssey of the Mind for 10 years, and then I served as California's OM State Director for 10 years. I had the desire for all students to have the opportunity to learn and grow through participating in Odyssey of the Mind as our twins did. So I developed Odyssey Inclusive as a way to provide appropriate supports and accommodations so any student who wanted to showcase their creativity and teamwork could do so. In the Odyssey Inclusive program, teams can be composed of those who all qualify or do qualify for special education services per school district and federal guidelines, or a mixture of those with and without disabilities. I'll explain in more detail later in these training materials how that can work. Please note that Odyssey Inclusive does not collect any confidential information about students' disabilities in order for them to participate. The end result of teams working together is a performance of around 10 to 15 minutes, showcasing teamwork, visual and performing arts, social skills, appropriate academic skills, and lots of enthusiasm. All teams presenting solutions and performances are considered winners because they solve the problem to the best of their ability. The focus in Odyssey Inclusive is to develop visual and performing arts skills, social skills, teamwork, appropriate academics, and creative problem solving abilities through a challenging and fun learning process by encouraging thinking beyond the box and taking the path less traveled. Besides the inherent benefits of students working together and having fun, there are many other reasons why Odyssey Inclusive is an important opportunity for students with disabilities. Students who are neurodiverse and have disabilities should have opportunities to showcase their creativity, problem solving, teamwork, and performing arts talents. There is definitely a lack of competitive and creative programs for students with disabilities, particularly those that incorporate STEAM, academic content areas, and social skills. The USA Gymnastics Hugs program is one stellar example, as well as Special Olympics. Odyssey Inclusive promotes access and equity for all students, as well as supporting positive behavior intervention and supports and multi-tiered systems of support. So, what makes up an Odyssey Inclusive performance? Odyssey Inclusive performances consist of a play performance called the long-term solution and an opportunity for the team to solve a problem on the spot, known as spontaneous. Let's talk first about the long-term performance, which is scored on a scale of 3 to 5 stars for the required elements of the problem. It is called long-term because teams work on their performance over weeks and months. The performance lasts around 10 to 15 minutes and is centered on adapted elements of an Odyssey of the Mind problem. Each year, 6 new long-term problems are written and issued by Odyssey of the Mind headquarters. The end result for all Odyssey of the Mind teams is a performance showcasing their teamwork and creativity while addressing the elements of the problem. To see an example of an OM performance from World Finals, you can click on the link provided in the PDF version of this module. For Odyssey Inclusive, one of the Odyssey of the Mind problems is adapted, and those materials are provided to all OI coaches and teams. Teams choose one option from 3 alternatives for their performance. The option is chosen by the students and coaches based on what they feel is the most appropriate for their team. They may change which option is chosen at any time before registration of their tournament. So let's take a little closer look at what those performance options are for long-term performance. Option 1 is where an entire script for the performance is provided. Elements of the play, such as a song, hairstyles, character names, use of materials, may be decided upon by team members with support as appropriate. Either the team acts out the play by reading or speaking memorized lines, or a narrator reads the script and team members act out the motions and provide verbal or communication device input as appropriate. Option 2 is where a fill-in-the-blank style script is provided with keywords missing. Team members with support as appropriate decide which words to fill in the blanks. Other elements of the play, like song, hairstyles, character names, use of materials, may be decided upon by the team members with support as appropriate. Either a narrator reads the script or team members read out and act out the script as appropriate. Option 3 is where a script outline is provided and team members write the script and act out their play. Team members create their own props, scenery, and costumes. Teams need to write scripts that can be performed in around 8 minutes and no more than 10 minutes. Ideas for basic props, scenery, and costumes are provided, which are created by team members with support as needed from coaches, parents, or students without disabilities on the team. Each year, problem details will be released that provide the important information about the requirements for the play performance. The long-term problem details provide the following information, which will be discussed in more detail in the next section of this training. It includes a detailed description of the problem, costs and time limits, required elements for all teams, tournament performance site and setup, scored elements including style, team required paperwork, and a glossary of some of the problem-specific terms. Teams and coaches should read the Odyssey Inclusive problem description and script options thoroughly before beginning the process deciding which option is best for their team. It is wise to reread the long-term problem description often to ensure that all required elements of the problem are incorporated into the team's performance. As a reminder, teams may change which option they choose at any time before registration for their tournament. Usually, teams work on their performance and the creation of props, scenery, and costumes for several months. And just as a reminder, there is a 10-week coaching plan available in the Odyssey Inclusive Coach Passport. The long-term solving of the problem consists of the team writing and acting out a script and making costumes, props, and scenery as appropriate. The team has approximately 10 to no more than 15 minutes to present their unique solution before a panel of trained judges at the tournament. It's okay if the performance goes longer than 10 minutes, as long as the team sticks to its script. Certain required elements of the play performance are called style. Style provides teams the opportunity to go beyond acting in their performance to include their individual creativity. Odyssey Inclusive teams have 4 mandatory style categories with options for team choice, which allows them to bring their individual creativity to their performance. The team's performances will be scored on a scale of 3 to 5 stars, and they will be provided feedback and positive sticky notes on their performance from the trained judges. The second element of the Odyssey Inclusive competition is called spontaneous problem solving. Teams are given an appropriately accommodated problem to solve on the spot at the tournament. There are generally 3 types of spontaneous problems: verbal, hands-on, and verbal hands-on. Teams do not know which type of problem they will receive at the tournament, so it's always good to practice all 3 types. Most spontaneous problems take about 10 to 15 minutes to solve as a team. All team members are invited to participate in spontaneous, but not all need to contribute to the team's solution. Appropriate spontaneous problems will be provided to Odyssey Inclusive coaches to practice with their teams. There is a separate section in these training modules all about spontaneous. Just like the long-term performance, all team members participate in spontaneous. It's all about on-the-spot creativity and problem solving. Teams don't know what they'll have to do until they enter the competition room. Solving spontaneous problems teaches students to think on their feet and to learn how to work together. As we mentioned, teams should definitely practice different types of spontaneous problems regularly so they are prepared for tournament day. So you're all ready to go and you want to think about forming your team. Odyssey of the Mind teams typically consist of 5 to 7 students, but in Odyssey Inclusive, that number can be higher or lower depending on the team. At least 50% of those on a team should be those who qualify or did qualify for special education services. If those without disabilities are paired up with Odyssey Inclusive team members, then some teams could consist of 14 team members. Again, Odyssey Inclusive will not collect any confidential information related to students' disabilities. Different from Odyssey of the Mind teams, Odyssey Inclusive teams can have students in any grade K through 12, or in a post-secondary district program for students with disabilities through age 22. If you have a program where adults with disabilities wish to participate, please reach out to your state's program coordinator, as we do have options. Having those without disabilities on an Odyssey Inclusive team is not a requirement, but it's certainly encouraged. Teams can be formed at a school, with a community or homeschool group, or some other organization. Be sure to follow your district or organization policies and procedures for forming a group of this nature. So we have some additional resources for you that you should be aware of. The Odyssey Inclusive Program Guide is available to everyone in the Odyssey Inclusive member area on the Odyssey of the Mind website. And these rules and regulations apply to all Odyssey Inclusive teams. The program guide is the rule book for Odyssey Inclusive teams, and it also provides helpful hints for coaches, answers questions about what to do if a team member withdraws, and provides much other important information. As the program guide changes somewhat every year, even experienced coaches and teams should read it at the start of every season. The Odyssey Inclusive website is also an important source of information. Another source of information may come from clarifications. Questions that teams and or coaches send to me, the Odyssey Inclusive Program Director, about problem details are called clarifications. If the program director feels that a clarification needs to be provided to all teams, it will be posted on the Odyssey Inclusive website and coaches will be informed. These are updates or further explanations of the long-term problem limitations written by myself and made public for all team members. General clarifications take precedence over published problem details and the rules in the program guide, so it's important that teams keep current on all these clarifications. When teams are unsure whether an aspect of their solution is allowed within the limitations of the long-term problem and the rules of the program guide, they can send questions to me at Odyssey Inclusive at odysseyofthemind.com through February 15th of each season. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me anytime. That's my email, odysseyinclusive at odysseyofthemind.com. Your Odyssey Inclusive State Program Coordinator is your main point of contact, so you want to contact that person first. We are going to have live coach training sessions via Zoom this season, so ask your program coordinator for those dates and times and registration information. And as I mentioned throughout the first module, we do have that 10-week coaching plan and the Odyssey Inclusive Coach Passport. This provides some great information and kind of a week-by-week guide of what you can be working on in terms of long-term style and spontaneous so that your team is ready for their tournament. You can backwards plan from that tournament date. Our Odyssey Inclusive website is available with more resources. And so you've made it through the first module. What's next? Take the short quiz via Google Forms, which is linked in the written version of this section's materials. It's just a quick check for understanding. And then you're ready to move on to section 2, which we're going to go into much more detail about the long-term problem and what kind of assistance you can provide to your team members. So thank you again so much for wanting to be involved with Odyssey Inclusive and serve as a coach. It's going to be an amazing season. Your students are going to do some incredible things, and I can't wait to see your team's performances. So thank you again for volunteering to be a coach.